Good morning, everybody. It's Jim Feist in Las Vegas, and Joe Mack is heading to the hills, so to speak, and taking a little vacation. Joe's in New York. It's hot and humid in New York, of course. We all know that. We have humidity out here in Las Vegas. I think we hit 100. I think we're going to hit 115 in the shade at the airport on Thursday. That's the predicted. Now, I don't know why they tell you in the shade at the airport, because nobody lives in the shade at the airport. But anyway, I got my car yesterday, and when I got my car, it said 122. Of course, that's the outside temperature. In the car, it's probably 180, and it felt like your brain was going to pop because it was so hot in there. But it is the summer. We're not under, we're not flooded. Thank God for that. We don't have hurricanes. We don't have any of that. No earthquakes. And Joe, you're going to head to the mountains, and you're going to take a couple days up in the maybe 50 and 60 degree temperatures, which would be great for you.
I'm hoping so. Yes, I'm going to be a little city boy that heads up to the country for 3 or 4 days, and I'm looking forward to it. Up in what they call the Berkshires, Western Massachusetts, and yes, it gets I'd say probably 12 to 15 degrees cooler at night up there than what I have here in New York City. So I'm going to be welcoming that as a major break, Jim.
Well, yes, enjoy. We're going to talk a little bit about some football here. We're going to talk about the AFC East, and I call this the most boring, the most boring division in all of football since I think in the last 15 out of the last 16 years. And I'm not 100% sure of that stat, but that the Patriots have won this division.
Yeah, they have had a complete stranglehold, and you know what? You're right. I mean, I usually don't attach the word boring with anything with the NFL, but you're right. I mean, this has been a non-competitive division for first place for all these years. In fact, I was just doing a little research on all the teams in this division, but looking up the Patriots and realizing that, the one year that they didn't make the playoffs when Brady got hurt, and they still had a pretty good season. They should have made the playoffs with a 10-6 record, but did not. But outside of that, I mean, you just look. It is very reminiscent for baseball fans of thinking about the Atlanta Braves, just division title after division title. And I know the fans, the hometown fans in Foxborough and Boston and those parts, they probably shrug and yawn and assume it's to happen. But, I mean, think about it, Jim. It's amazing. This is a team that went the Patriots we're talking about, of course, 13-3 in the regular season last year, got to a Super Bowl, obviously didn't win, but they get smoked the competition at all time. They won 5 out of 6 in their division, 10 out of 12 in their conference, and they just beat on people. And it's funny, I have a buddy who a couple of years ago said to me, one of these years, he says, the Patriots are not going to win the division. I said, let me tell you, you let me know when that's going to happen. Because the combination of them being so good, so dominant, and obviously the Brady-Belichick connection, and the fact that these other teams are either underachievers or they're not well-run outfits. I mean, talk about the Jets. The Dolphins have been a very swampy team over the years. And maybe Buffalo's on the uptick. But anyway, as you said, it's been boring in terms of any competitiveness. And you can almost write in right now that the Patriots will win this division. I mean, the question is, do they win 11, 12, 13, or 14 games? Or could this be another one of those magical years where maybe they go 16-0? But it's been a cakewalk for them for a long, long time. And, you do have to wonder how long the window is open for. But the long-range thing I look at, Jim, is I wonder, even after Brady is gone, let's say in 3 years Brady's no longer playing, are these other teams still going to be able to catch up to the Patriots with whoever's on the roster, who's ever quarterbacking them then? I don't know. I mean, they've not shown anything. The Bills finally snapped that playoff list streak last year. The Dolphins haven't won a playoff game in I don't know when. And the Jets, right here in my backyard, they went to back-to-back title games in 09 and 10 with a solid defense and a game manager in Mark Sanchez back then, and they haven't made the playoff appearance. So it's been the Patriots somewhat by default, but I don't think we should overlook the fact, hey, they have been a dominant outfit for a long time, and they should continue to dominate in 2018.
Well, they're a well-run organization, and they're in a division with three other teams that are not well-run. And of course, the Brady-Belichick combination is magical. Uh, we give them that, and then of course, every year, just about every year, they're playing one of the weakest schedules, and the reason for that is because the 6 games they play against those division members, they're not good, so they get very low ratings there. But when they come up against good competition, they can win because they are well staffed, well coached, and they have magical quarterbacking, and they run a different type of an offense, the ball control most of the time. They've had a few years when they had the deep threats and they went to them. But Belichick and his crew, they know what the hell they're doing. And I think it really comes down to, the Patriots will win the AFC East. They'll very likely get to the championship game for the AFC. And will they win it? And if they do, will they be able to compete in the Super Bowl against a team that usually plays a much tougher schedule because they are coming out of the NFC, which is a tougher conference, and that becomes the problem. Now, a couple years ago, I think they should have lost to Seattle, but they made a hell of a fourth quarter comeback, and then that one play that Pete Carroll called it is very questionable and suspect why the hell he did it. But and then the situation where Atlanta had them down 28-3 in that one, and they won that game. So there were 2 Super Bowl wins where easily could have been 2 Super Bowl losses. So, in the way I look at it is because they play weaker competition week in and week out for the most part, not totally, for the most part, they're not fully prepared to play the toughest teams in the West. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean they can't win, because when you look at how they came back against Atlanta and how they came back against Seattle to win those 2, and then last year against a red-hot Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Eagles, Brady went through for over 500 yards, for God's sake. He was unbelievable. And nobody could stop anybody in the game, but they weren't totally out of it. They could have won it right at the end. So this is a very strong organization that is blessed not to have to compete too hard in the East.
You're certainly right about that. And I'll tell you one thing, we can talk about, and you're exactly right, that they've got a lot of gimme wins in their division on a year-by-year basis. But, I was looking at their chart from last year, just the game-by-game chart, and to think about it, that they went from middle of October through the first playoff game they were in, the divisional playoff win against Tennessee, and they covered 10 of 11 games. And again, you're talking not all monster prices. I'm looking at a few 7s. They laid 16.5 to Miami. They laid 16 to the Jets in the regular season finale. My point being, though, Jim, this is a team that went 12-7 against the spread last year, 27-10-1 against the spread the last 2 years. That's unbelievable. I mean, that really is unbelievable. And you said Brady, you almost take. If he doesn't get sacked and lose the fumble there, we don't know what goes on late in that Super Bowl. They could have had a comeback there. And this is an organization that just, they replenish, rebuild, retool, whatever word you want to use. But let's face it, in the offseason, they waved goodbye to Brandon Cooks, the wide receiver to the Rams, and he was a bit of an underachiever with the Patriots. They waved goodbye to Amendola, who's with the Dolphins. Edelman, who missed all the last year, is out. It looks like for the first 4 games of this year. And let's face it, Gronkowski, for all his skill and talent and craziness, he misses a few games every year. So Brady has been doing this with a revolving door many times at wide receiver, a running game that probably doesn't get the respect it should. I mean, it was 10th in the league in rushing last year, and Deion Lewis did run for almost 900 yards and 5 yards a carry. So they just keep restocking and retooling their whole organization. But again, when you look a little deeper, for really the fans that listen to this show, and want the gambling angle. I mean, 27-10-1, 2-year period is insane. You're not going to find anybody better out there, and so hats off to them. And you know what? You go into this season, you might say, listen, I can't be laying these prices. I'm not going to be laying 14 points in a home game for the Jets. You want to know something? If I had to say right now, I bet you the Patriots have another winning spread season this year, whether it be 10-6, whatever. Along those lines, regular season, I'm telling you, they're going to crank out a profit again. They do it. They do it every year. And until and unless Brady is not chucking the ball all over the field, they're going to keep cranking out the straight-up wins and the against the spread wins, I think, for another couple of years.
Boy, it is amazing. For a team that's highly rated, the public loves them. The odds makers rate them very high. They make big point spreads on them, and they still go out there and they cover. It's absolutely incredible. They're a gold mine to the people that bet on them. It's incredible. And here the first week of the year, they're going to open up at home against Houston. Now Houston's getting Deshaun Watson back, who looked magnificent in the short time that he played last year. They're getting some defensive players back, and I think the offensive coordinator is the head coach there. So, that's a big game. It's a 7-point game. There's been some money on the dog. I don't want to talk specifically about that game. I mean, I will tell you here, it's a free play. I did bet the dog. I took 7. But when you look at the stats of how New England covers the spread, that doesn't give you a lot of confidence to doing that. However, they have had times early in the season where they start slow. And with a couple things going on there in the off season, they could start slow, and Houston's a dangerous club. But here's the question. We've got 3 other teams in this division. We did say we were going to talk about the East. So the Dolphins, the Jets, and, of course, the Bills. I don't know what the Bills are going to do at quarterback. I'm not very impressed right now with what they have. Now, it could develop. Allen could come out of the box, and if he starts to play, he wasn't accurate in college, but he's got a big arm. I am impressed with the New York Jet coach. I think he does a pretty good job, and they did a lot of good things last year, but the question is they're still looking for a quarterback to step in and develop as their guy going forward. The Dolphins, of course, they got rid of Cutler, which is absolutely one of the worst deals ever. Paying that guy $10 million to come in here and play for a year I'd have done it for half the price. So would you, Joe. And we probably wouldn't have done any worse. So, but there's a lot, so many questions with these 3 teams. Is anybody ever going to come up and show some possibilities that they can move forward?
Well, you know what? Let's take them team by team. I'll run through a couple of things. The Bills last year had a winning record. We know they made the playoffs. As we said, they had that long, lengthy 17 years, I believe it was, where they didn't go to playoffs. You touched on it. They've got Josh Allen in there. He's obviously their man of the future. But right now, their depth chart says that A.J. McCarron, who's played, a handful of games in 3-4 years for Cincinnati, not much, and Nathan Peterman, who was an interception machine in that one game where he got a start last year. Right now, McCarron, Peterman, and Allen are listed at 1, 2, and 3. If the Bills get off to a decent start, maybe McCarron stays put there, and Allen just has to bide his time until next year. But let's face it, they got to do something. They had the 29th ranked offense last year in the league, next to last in the league in passing. That was, of course, Tyrod Taylor. Some of it was on him. Some of it was lack of playmakers. They're hoping for big things from wide receiver Kelvin Benjamin. He only played 6 games last year because of injuries with the Bills. And their defense has to do something, Jim. They had 27 sacks last year. That's, if you really think about it, 27 sacks in a 16-game regular season, not good enough in a league where passing is predominant. You've got to get to the quarterback. In my mind, not to just throw out a number for a number, because heck, you could have a 10-sack game one day and it's skews all the stats. But the Bills only get 27 sacks this year, and meanwhile they allowed 47. They've got to get into the 40s. They've got to make some negative plays on defense. And, then we'll see what goes on. Now, the other thing is they've got to clean up this whole LaShawn McCoy mess. I don't know what's going on with this whole thing, with this off-the-field domestic violence thing, whether he's involved or not. I'm not going to say he is, but they've got to clean that up and quick. So the Bills have some talent, probably the most talent of the three other teams not named the Patriots, but they've had a lot of question marks, and it starts at quarterback. Then you go to the Dolphins, who last year was 6-10, and as you said, that was just a strange situation with Cutler. He wound up throwing 19 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, but when you really dig deep, his quarterback rating was 80.8, not good. The offense ranked 25th in the league. They got a long way to go. And, they're counting on Ryan Tannehill to rebound. Should they? I don't know. They've got Brock Osweiler in reserve. I'm not encouraged by either one. I'm not a big fantasy league guy, but I'll tell you one thing. If those two guys were on the remaining list and you're looking for a quarterback, they wouldn't be anywhere in my top 32. So the Dolphins have some things. Now, maybe they're going to make a stand with defense. They did acquire Robert Quinn, defensive end from the Rams. I think their defensive line looks pretty good, which is funny because when Sue was there for all those years, they probably were not as good as they should have been. So maybe the defensive line will carry them. But I look at the Dolphins, and I see them 6-10 last year, Jim, 5-9-2 against the spread. Honestly, to me, they're 6-10, 7-9 this year, maybe 500 against the spread. Nothing to get excited about. And again, just like the LaShawn McCoy mess has to be cleaned up in Buffalo, the whole national anthem mess, which is a mess in the whole NFL, but Miami really has some specific issues with it. They've got to do something. And you touched on the Jets, and you know what? I don't love Todd Bowles as a coach, but I don't dislike him as much as a lot of the New York media. And I know he's a very bland guy, short answers. He's not Bill Parcells behind the microphone and everything. But you know what? He's been there 4 years, and they're 22, 20, and 6 against the spread. So they have a winning record. Again, you're not going to get rich on it, but not terrible. And let's face it, they're pinning their hopes on Sam Darnold. They traded up 3 spots to get in position to get one of these quarterbacks. They really did luck out by having him left the guy they really wanted all along. It landed on him. But the Jets have a long way to go. A 5-win team last year, no playoffs till all the way back in that 2010 season that we talked about. And right now they're saying Darnold is third on the depth chart. But everything I hear, everything I see on local highlights and, different sports show highlights, is Darnold is really mastering the offense pretty good right now. He's throwing a great ball. Everyone's worried about his, quote, small hands and turnovers, which placed him in his last year at USC. But so far they're saying he's picking things up, and I don't think it's going to be long before he's number one. Right now they have Josh McCown, who really did not do a bad job this year until he got hurt. He's listed as one on the depth chart. And Teddy Bridgewater, which, that's a complete unknown, he's listed as 2. But long story short, the Jets have some hope, I think. They've got some decent receivers with Curse and Robbie Anderson, if he can stay out of trouble off the field. So the Jets have some hope and might be a decent play this year not on an over-under like wins for the year, but like on a week-to-week basis, just, taking points for them. They might be pretty competitive, and I could see that with the Jets. But the Dolphins, to me, they're a stagnant group. The Bills, maybe they have, another winning season, but nothing exciting. Except for who we mentioned, the big bad Patriots, who probably are going to, at worst, or at least go to the AFC Championship game for about the gazillion straight year. These other teams are all 500 and under. To me, the Bills and Dolphins are not going to be great teams to wager on this year. The Jets might make you a few bucks, but they all have major quarterback problems in a division where the best quarterback of all time plays. So that is a problem.
Amen to that. Joe, I want to say enjoy your holiday. I do want to mention before we sign off that this past weekend we lost Tony Sperano, who I didn't know the gentleman, but from everything I read, he was well liked, well loved, and our thoughts and prayers go out to his family. It was a terrible loss. shocking loss. But these things happen. But they'll move forward. And good luck to all of those to get over their grief. And Joe, you have you represent Jim Hurley. I think JimHurleySports.com is the site that you can go to and buy Jim's picks and Joe's opinions and things like that. Is that correct?
That's correct. They can also call the toll-free number, 800-323-4453. That's 1-800-323-4453. Obviously, a lot of baseball winners. And as we touched on last time, Jim, the Hall of Fame game in football is right around the bend, August 2nd. Ravens and Bears, a Thursday night. Should be fun. So we're up and at 'em with football before you know it. You know, the real kind of football, not just chit-chat, but, you know, the games itself. So if folks want to keep it in mind, Hall of Fame game and all the baseball, 800-323-4453.
All right, Joe, enjoy your holidays. Anybody would like to get my plays, just go to JimFeist.com. My plays are up there each and every day, along with podcasts and articles. Joe, enjoy. Thank you very much, and thank you, everybody out there, for listening.
Thank you, Jim. Talk to you soon.